Hello. I cry a lot, and I am sorry for that. I do try to keep it off of YouTube now as much as I can. This one that I'm creating a link to in live chat is a video called Casey on Chapel. And most of these, you hear people say they don't know what they can do. They don't know how to help. I'm telling them exactly how they can help. I'm not fucking retarded. Before these people knew that I was autistic, they didn't treat me like I was retarded. After they found out I was autistic, it's like everything they ever knew about me is magically not true. Like magically, I didn't save their life. Like magically, I didn't pay rent. Like magically, I didn't jump through all these fucking hoops for these son of a bitches when they fucking needed it. For them to give me empty words and empty promises and call me when they're drunk to tell me how to think and how to feel and berate me and belittle me and treat me like shit. And when I do it back, they don't fucking like it, do they? Now, I didn't used to do it back. I didn't used to. I used to just move on. The situation in Virginia with Natalie, that was the first situation in my life where I wasn't allowed to move on. If you're going to be predatory towards me because you're on heroin, I'm out of here. I don't want any more fucking drama out of you, Alicia and Natalie. I'm leaving Virginia. You'd think that that would be good enough. You think that would be enough to leave well enough alone. But no. No, they had to cover their own asses by lying to Maddie Boa. Now, they didn't lie to Maddie Boa and say Sean stalked us. They all three fucking knew better. If they'd have said to Maddie Boa, hey, Maddie, Sean is stalking Natalie here in Virginia, Maddie would have said, bullshit. We all three planned this trip with Sean. We have all three planning this for months. And that's why Alicia didn't try pulling that bullshit with Maddie Boa. What did she try pulling with Maddie Boa? She couldn't manipulate Maddie Boa with the Sean was stalking me bullshit, so she told Maddie Boa that I threatened her fucking family. So I get back to Boulder, and of course, Maddie Boa's been spreading words of fucking wisdom in my absence, pretending that I'm some sort of a perpetrator or fucking villain because I had a goddamn panic attack over being treated like shit, being fucking stranded and broke in a new fucking place, being ganged up on and treated like shit by people who claim to love me. Meanwhile, what did those people gang up on me over? Let's look at that situation with Lana and Amanda and Miss Jerry over a racist post by Tyler Frericks, the nephew of the sheriff of Cheyenne County. You know, in them messages, Miss Jerry made the very real mistake of trying to pretend that her last name in Sidney, Nebraska was the same as being black. No, Miss Jerry, you're a pretty girly. Miss Jerry, you have no idea how pampered you are. Over a dozen men have helped you out and bailed you out of situations that you put yourself in. We all felt bad for you because you got kids, Miss Jerry. But your kids are grown up and moved the fuck out. You're going to get ugly very soon here. You're getting old, Jerry. You guys wanted to believe that I was the bad guy and Natalie was the good guy. You wanted to pretend that I was on drugs, and it turns out, guess what? Natalie was the one who was on drugs. Was I honest? Did I tell the truth about that? You hated me for saying it. But you were fine with the media saying it, weren't you? I said it first, and you called me a goddamn liar. Akash B typed, "How's life been?" And then Akash B typed, "Message retracted." You know, I tried explaining to these people, hey, there's a major problem. They were too busy wanting to dispense advice. Everyone wants to dispense advice. Nobody wants to find out what the fuck is going on because they're all in love with the sound of their own goddamn voices. One pissed off gun store Nella with internet access typed, "I'm driving home from a business trip. Bought camels for the trip. How's this week been treating you? Piss poor and shitty, but I'm trying to keep a positive attitude. Um, the best thing that we can do to defend ourselves against the police is to work together with the other victims. This divide and conquer bullshit that they pull, it's killing all of us. We don't have any rights." You know, Miss Peaches, the worst part is that she never made any goddamn effort to keep her word. Like I say something and it goes in one ear and out the other. Your idea is shit. Now, for other people, it probably isn't shit. For people who are not in the position that I'm in, that might be good fucking advice. But most of your advice is shit, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I'm telling you that I have experience doing the things that you are assuming because you heard that these places are supposed to do something about it. Because you heard. Look into it. Well, that looks like my computer's about to die. I do not know why I unplugged it. Oh yeah, because I was trying to figure out how to get my heater working this morning. I was thinking maybe it burned out the outlet that it was plugged into. I just never plugged my computer back in. Anyway, with all these people, the whole reason I went to them for help, I've gone to the cops repeatedly by the time that I'm at Miss Peach's house trying to get help. I've gone to multiple people in these agencies that are supposed to help us, like Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. Jeff Ritter told me that I needed to get paperwork or he couldn't help me out with getting an attorney. And when I got the paperwork, he told me that he wouldn't be able to do anything until after the 1st. It's not that I wasn't trying to get help. It's that there is no help for your victim class. Out of all of this, how many times have I had heroin in my system? How many times have I had anything other than marijuana in my system? A lot. However, I was injected forcibly with drugs for trying to turn in my predators. I was blown off because I am a male. Miss Peaches, the way that she threw a goddamn tantrum like a fucking 2-year-old because she didn't like me telling the truth or posting it up here. I wouldn't have had to do that if she'd have kept her fucking word. I wouldn't have had to do that if she had not been repeatedly helping my predators. Whether she did it on purpose or not doesn't make any goddamn difference. The result is the same. Abuse against Sean, and it's okay. I cannot take care of myself. And to this day, all of these agencies are still playing on that to get away with the crimes that they fucking committed. When you do fucked up shit to me, I'm not allowed to be angry, am I? No, I just have to take it. You didn't lose any of the things that I lost. But you want to tell me how much you did for me. The one thing that I asked you to do is to tell the fucking truth to the goddamn cops. Lots of people, they said that they did, but they have shown me absolutely zero evidence that they did these things that they claimed that they did. If they did these things, they should have come forward in court like they promised a long goddamn time ago. I didn't go to Miss Peach's house to get help protecting myself because people thought that I killed Natalie. I went to Peach's house for help because I was being abused over Natalie. I was having all of my shit stolen by Ken and Leah. Meanwhile, I'm being bullied at Ken and Leah's and actually physically assaulted at Ken and Leah's. Yes, I left that fucking day, the 26th of December of 2017. You know what? Natalie's fucking narrative that she sold and the evidence that I was trying to fucking show you right at the beginning. If I'd have been able to show that evidence to Natalie, if I'd have had the skills to take a goddamn screenshot, I'd spent a whole year trying to get help before Natalie was fucking killed. A lot of people wanted to pretend that I went to Miss Peach's so that I had an alibi and somebody to help cover up my crime of shooting Natalie Bollinger in the head. No, I went to Miss Peach's house 2 days before Natalie got shot in the fucking head. I went over to her house to get help. She had her own shit going on, but she promised to help. Meanwhile, I told all of the good things that she did for me. And then she wants to throw those things in my face as if I am a bad person because she did those things. Yes, I understand that there are things that you did for me, but you never fucking spoke up. And because you never spoke up, the police wrote whatever the fuck they wanted, and you made zero fucking effort. Zero goddamn effort to do a goddamn thing about that. Casey says, I'm sorry, Sean. There's nothing I can do. There absolutely is. I recorded that conversation with her. I recorded her saying the exact same things that I fucking told you to begin with about many of these fucking people and about me. Did Casey come forward and say those things? Did she come forward and say those things when I was having that shit going on with Andrew and Amy? Yeah, Amy, you're in love with a meth head who rapes your fucking kids, so it's okay for you to harm me. It's okay for you to ask me to come to your fucking rescue. Because you needed to be rescued from fucking Andrew. And then you treat me like shit. Like I'm the goddamn bad guy. Just like Amy Spencer. Tried to pretend like I was the bad guy. Like I was abusing her children. And look, I recorded Amy. And guess what? The things that I told you that she wanted to pretend were not true, they're on my YouTube. Obviously, I told the fucking truth. The cops are not going to look into any of this shit unless someone goes in with me. That is where the mentally ill tag comes in fucking handy for them. And I've been explaining to all of you for 30 goddamn years how that fucking works. You care when it happens to black people. You care when it happens to women. When it's a white person, they must have wanted, needed, or chose it, or deserved it. See, when I come here to Chapel, I'm disgusted by this fucking town. Do you know why? Because these folks blame blacks and Mexicans for all their fucking problems, and there ain't no blacks or Mexicans here. They're racist assholes. Just like those racist assholes who blame everything on white people. It's white people's fault. You're spoiled because you're white. There's no BLM group that's going to help me because I'm the wrong goddamn color, motherfucker. Akash B typed, I'm so sorry for being unfair. Take care, buddy. Holy shit, there's a lot of notifications. Elizabeth Salinas typed, people make empty promises. I know. And that's the thing, is that I needed actual help, not empty promises. And you can look through the Facebook messengers because these people didn't destroy that. Messages between me and these folks are mostly intact, except for the people who destroyed their Facebook accounts. And a few of them who turned out to be not real people and their Facebook accounts were destroyed. We all utilize the tools that we got. You know, me and Natalie did the exact same thing for a whole year. Try to get help. But you know what the difference was? She was pretty. She was a girl. She had people who cared about her. And then she had people that would do anything for her because they wanted to stick their penis in her. Well, I get blown off. People are building her bullshit up into some big fucking hype that I'm actually being harmed for. And I eventually call her a cunt. So it's okay that all of that evil shit happened to me. It is magically okay, or magically never happened because I called her a cunt. You got no idea how much abuse I had taken by that fucking point. When all of this bullshit started, I drove 1,700 miles to get away from it. I moved repeatedly because it followed me to Boulder. See, it's one thing for you to say, well, we can't do anything about slander. Can you do anything about the fucking assaults that have happened because of that slander? Is it your job to do something about assaults? Is it your job to do something about people threatening my fucking life? No. You tell me no, 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 no. But then I threaten the lives of the people I was trying to turn into you. And guess what? It's magically wrong. Oh my God. Seriously? Of course, I knew that was going to happen already. That's why I broke the fucking law. It's legal for them, not for me. They can speak. I can't. They can make a police report. I'm not fucking allowed. Police will pretend to investigate the shit that they're turning in because they're fucking pretty. Natalie ain't pretty now. At least she's not a corpse rotting under the ground. They shouldn't have cremated her body. They shouldn't have. You know, when I found out they did that, you know, that was before they found her killer, and I was certain at that point in time, given everything that was going on, that Ted had her cremated to destroy evidence. I begged for help before I begged people to kill me. I didn't get to explain to people what was going on because nobody would shut the fuck up. I'm trying to tell you about abuse that I'm going through, and I can't even get that fucking far because you can't stop telling me a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, or you just gotta love yourself, or you just need to move on. You know what all of those things denote? That you have made the assumption that I have not done any of those things or tried any of those things. You have made several bad assumptions. First of all, to assume that I don't love myself. I love myself enough to fucking defend myself, even though I'm not allowed. So suck my ass. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. I'm being assaulted and harassed, and I'm trying to tell you about it, and I can't get halfway through a sentence without you interrupting me to give me fucking advice. Your advice is shit. Do you know why? Because you're busy dispensing advice instead of finding out what the fuck is going on. All of these people that I tried to go to before Natalie fucking died, who are supposedly my friends, who supposedly loved me, who supposedly, if I ever need help, just ask. All I'm asking is for you to tell the fucking truth. That's all I was asking of Natalie. I told the truth about Natalie. My mom told me, Sean, I think a liar is worse than a murderer. All growing up. She told me she thinks a liar is worse than a rapist. And to this day, there isn't a single person on the planet I know who lies more than my mom. And yes, in this scenario, lying about someone is worse than murder. Between a life of this and a bullet to the head, I'd prefer a bullet to the head. But you know what I would prefer over a bullet to the head? Help in person. Without a guardian present, I have no rights. Without a guardian present or a witness present to bear witness, I have no rights. They can say and do whatever they want and justify it by calling me mentally ill. Since day one, they've used the term mentally ill as an excuse not to take a statement, not to look at evidence, to not do their jobs. And you see how each of these officers who I tried to turn in used their power and their position to prevent me from being able to turn them in for the crimes that they committed. And by preventing me from turning in those people and writing those reports, and many of them were written and turned in, that doesn't mean that the cops are going to do a goddamn thing. They claimed that I made zero effort. And then they refused to allow the evidence in court that showed that they were lying. Those officers lied. My public pretender wouldn't do her job. When I tried to fire her, that's when she finally showed up for fucking court. When I told that judge on the 15th, I was trying to fire Pamela Carty. And the judge says to me that I have to take the public pretender assigned to me. Not one of the 7 public pretenders that I had in Arapahoe County. Mind you, Pamela Carty was my public pretender. She just never showed up to court. I had 6 other attorneys who didn't know what the fuck was going on filling in for Pamela Carty because she just didn't show up. Pamela Carty's not even an American. She may be an American citizen, but she's Australian. In Australia, they got pretty fucking Nazi laws too. Matter of fact, some of theirs are worse than ours. Especially with how men are treated. Australia is fucking horrible. Those attorneys were not incompetent. They were lazy. They were also, you got to imagine this, all right? Here I am trying to turn in a whole bunch of predators, a whole bunch of them that I have evidence on. True lazy, exactly. But the thing is that these guys didn't do their jobs because they just simply didn't care. They're more likely to defend a woman with children who is guilty of abusing those children and selling drugs than they are to defend an innocent homeless person, especially if that homeless person is a male. You look at what people judged me for. Their reasons why I must be this terrible person that they wanted to pretend. Let's start off with, he looks like a child molester. Right there, it's my looks. They haven't looked at any evidence. The way that I look is evidence enough of my guilt, apparently. They didn't make any efforts to do their fucking jobs. Now, if these people told the truth, then it'll come out in court. It needs to. But in order for that to happen, you guys have to give a shit about the fact that none of my constitutional rights were observed. They got new laws in Colorado, or are supposed to. Let's see. Onyx type, no one listens until it's too late. That's right. That's what I tell people about homelessness. Nobody cares about the homeless until they're homeless. And by then, of course, it's too late. You lose all your stuff when you don't have your mommy and daddy's help, like most of you got. Most of you, with your shitty opinions of the homeless, have never been homeless. You tell us about how you did it all yourself. No, let me tell you about doing it all yourself. When I turned 18, I had one fucking shoe on my foot. That's it. If it hadn't been for Jason Jeffson and Kimberly Jeffson and Ron Jeffson and Terry Jeffson, I would have been stuck in Chapel, Nebraska with no roof over my head, no matter what weather, at age of 18. And I am grateful for that. That's not even close to what is considered humane conditions. I was living in a loft in their garage that was made out of a bunch of pallets stacked up so that hopefully I didn't fall through the floor. But you know what? It was better than nothing. And it's also less than most of you had at 18. Most of you had an ID. Most of you had a driver's license. Most of you knew how to drive. I was barely able to drive. My Pontiac Firebird didn't last very long. I didn't have a driver's license. You know who drove my Pontiac Firebird to work every day? Brandon Jepson. Brandon Edward Jepson. Let's see. Akash B typed, keep raising your voice against those who are unjust. We are listening. Thank you. Elizabeth Salinas typed, if they told the truth, it would make them look bad. That's why they didn't speak up. It's also why they're busy trying to make every excuse that they can. See, I still have the evidence, but now I keep getting told, well, the statute of limitations is over. See, this is something that's one of those things that went into my friend's ears, in one ear and out the other. There is a time limit on this. And the longer it takes for you to come forward, the more abuse that I have to take. The thing is that I've shown that. I've also shown you that these officers who have been in the news by name, I've shown you the evidence that I had to deal with them. The news has shown you the evidence that I had to deal with them. Of all of these people who had cases against the Boulder police and the Broomfield police and the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Department, all of these cases, I had a better case than any of these people, a better case than Elijah McClain. Why is that? Well, first of all, he was alone and I was alone. However, people's excuse why it was okay for them to do what they did to him is because Elijah McClain didn't tell them he was autistic. Lucky for me, before Natalie died, I was trying to get a lawyer, and some of them gave me some pretty good advice. They said, you have to tell the police that you're autistic. There isn't an officer in the state of Colorado who does not have training with someone who's autistic. If you're trying to make a police report, you need to tell the police that you're autistic, and they will and do need to accommodate your disabilities. And through hundreds of phone calls, did they accommodate my disabilities or did they abuse the living goddamn fuck out of me? Y'all want to talk about how terrible it is that they put that stuff into Elijah McClain and how he was targeted because he was black? No, he wasn't. The color of his skin may have had something to do with it, but it was his mannerisms that people find creepy. He moves different. He moves like I do. You see the way that he walks. He walks the way that I do. But there was nobody there to tell those cops that he was autistic. You can tell right away. When I first listened to that Elijah McClain video, I'd already been speaking out for Elijah McClain for months. Hell, I believe the stuff with this BLM stuff where he was having this happen because he was black, but no. I listened to that and I went, holy shit, Elijah McClain is autistic. And I was so excited. I got on here and I started trying to tell y'all, hey, fucking Elijah McClain was autistic. And then guess what? Guess what I found out? Yeah, fucking people knew he was autistic, and that was all over the place when this first happened. But nobody focused on that. They focused on the color of his skin. He wasn't injected with those drugs for the color of his skin any more than I was. They did that because when a disabled person goes in with someone to act as a guardian with them, then you have to observe their rights, you have to do your job, and you have to investigate the crimes against this disabled person. It's a felony if you don't. But if you go in by yourself as a disabled person, they're not even allowed to take your report. Now, the law doesn't say that they're not allowed to take your report. The law says that they have to for a mentally disabled person or physically disabled person, but the law does say something entirely different when they call you mentally ill. All of your rights are gone. I was stripped of my rights before I ever had a day in court. Did you know that it is against the law for me to speak out against the Bollingers and the things that they did? It is illegal for me to mention those things because of the outcome of court dates that I wasn't even allowed to go to. People want to hate me and say, Sean, you know, people gave you all that money at the beginning. They gave you thousands of dollars, and what'd you do with it? They didn't give me thousands of dollars. People are like, you had thousands of dollars in GoFundMe's. I'm like, I didn't. I didn't have any GoFundMe's. One of them was started by Candace, and you got to see the evidence that I was telling the truth about that fucked up situation. Now, Candace, she wanted to hide that. But you know what? I recorded her mom outside a pumpkin pantry. And she's on here too. Also, I get that when you typed if they told the truth, it would make them look bad, and that's why they didn't speak up. I know you're talking about my friends there, and you're right. You're right. I mean, Alicia, the longer this went along, a week after I left Virginia, now, albeit if she'd never lied to begin with, that would have been the best way to handle it. But if she'd told the truth within a week of me leaving Virginia, of course, I didn't try to get a hold of her within a week to let her know that was going on. I was hoping it would blow away. I was hoping it would fucking fizzle out. It didn't. I moved from Boulder to Chapel, Nebraska here, a town that I can't fucking stand, but that's because I had at least a little bit of a support network. But then again, these people want to tell me I shouldn't care what other people think, and they care what other people think. You have to in a small town like this. That'll make you or break you, your reputation. People don't want to put their name in with somebody who has been accused of anything like I was accused of. But then again, how many times did Natalie Bollinger, in all of this, how many times did she accuse me of raping her? How many times did she accuse me of molesting her? Not one piece of evidence. Not one piece of evidence from Natalie Bollinger to suggest that I did either of those things. Her sister is still alive. And she can admit that I told the truth about these things. These assaults all came from them misleading and outright lying about that situation because they were fucked up on drugs and embarrassed. Natalie just wanted her family to be fucking happy. She would have done anything for her family to love her, up to and including shooting me in the goddamn head. Meanwhile, y'all want to pretend I was stalking her in fucking Colorado, and I'd been stalking her in Colorado for a year, and I'd been behind her work in Colorado, and fucking following her to her house in Colorado. No, this is all shit that happened in Virginia. And if you look at the shit between these people and I, you realize that what they said happened in Virginia was fucking bullshit too. After Virginia, all I wanted to do was see my loved ones, to not have to be stuck here in Chapel, Nebraska with these alcoholic fucking idiots. Most of this town is depressed all the fucking time. Most of these people hate everybody else, with the exception of the alcoholics who like some of the other alcoholics. When they're drunk. But then if somebody is popular, you have to pretend that you like them. Even if they're a child molester, even if they're a rapist, even if they're a murderer. If they're popular, you got to pretend to like them. If you're a business owner here and people hate somebody, even though you know that person is a good person, you're going to look away because you don't want it to affect your business. That's small town politics. Elizabeth Slinus typed that attorney is incompetent. Elizabeth Slinus typed true lazy. Akash B typed they were just ignorant. No, they weren't ignorant. They chose ignorance. The root word of ignorant is ignore. If you ignore it, you've made a decision to do so. The only thing that is required for evil to thrive is for us to do nothing about it. To do nothing in the face of tyranny is to support tyranny. Akash B typed, you were caught up with some really shitty people. People should have cared enough. Yeah, and you know what? Those shitty people, many of them, their voices are on my YouTube here. You, even if you're autistic, you don't get to live in the conditions that I have lived in my lifetime and remain ignorant of child abuse or the signs or the trauma or the fact that going to an adult just doesn't work. What happens when you're a kid? They tell you that if you're being bullied, you go to your bully and you ask them to stop. You tell them how you feel. What happens? You get made fun of. Every fucking kid knows this. You ask them to stop and you're told to tell them how it makes you feel. And what do? They get condescending and become even worse bullies because you let them know that you have emotions. So then they tell you you're supposed to go to an authority figure like the police or your parents or a teacher. But then when you go to that person, no consequences for the person. You're getting picked on by 5 or 6 people at a time who are fucking doing this shit to you because you're the fucking weird kid. Everywhere you fucking go. And then what happens? You're told to tell the teacher if this happens, right? The teacher's going to do something about it. No, now you've got these kids who were just pushing and shoving you, and maybe one of them gets down on all fours behind you while the one in front of you pushes over him. But now you've got 3 kids that are beating you up after school. You go to your dad. I did go to my dad. My dad said, what did you do to him? In that particular case, it just so happened I got beaten up because I was white. But that's I don't want you guys to have the impression that every black person is racist, and I don't want you using the fact that it was black kids that, in that specific case, that beat me up. There were lots of cases where it was white kids. There was lots of cases where it was, like in California, I got jumped by 7 Hispanic kids. They were all kids I went to school with, and they were all either in my grade or a grade above me, and they were all littler than me, which is pretty cool in my book. Kind of like I kind of felt like an ogre getting assaulted by Oompa Loompas. And no, I am not referring to all Mexicans or Hispanic peoples as Oompa Loompas. It just so happened that that group of kids, they were just all really excruciatingly short. I also remember that there were lots of other kids that were Hispanic in that school that were also much taller, much larger. It's not a Mexican specific thing or a Hispanic specific thing. And for surely, as good as these kids were speaking English, they weren't even Mexicans, they were Americans. I noticed that about most of the actual Mexicans that I know. They're a lot nicer. Why is the foreign people are so much nicer? Hell, I know a lot of people here who were first generation born in America that are fucking spoiled little bitches. They say, I'm Mexican, I'm Mexican. I'm like, you were born in the United States, you're an American. But also, you know, your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, I know all of them. I've met all of them. They all came from Mexico. They all work hard. They all try to give you the best of what American society has to offer because they don't want you to feel what it was like when they grew up in Mexico. By the way, have you ever been to Mexico? Oh. Let's see. Darnasia typed hello. Elizabeth Salinas typed homeless or invisible to most people. You're right, until they need somebody to take their shit out on. Dad raped me, and I can't take it out on Dad. If I do, I get locked up in a nuthatch, and then he's probably going to start raping my little sister. You know the mentality. You know why you stay. You know why you continue to take the abuse. But you got so much anger inside of you because nobody's doing anything about it, and all you can do is take it. And you see that homeless guy, and he's not attractive. You know that if you go swing on him a couple of times, nobody's going to care. Or you go down there and when he makes eye contact with you or says hello, you start immediately ripping his ass, screaming at the top of your lungs. All of this hate and rage that you couldn't take out on your dad, you're taking out on this poor son of a bitch. Holy hell. Starmagia typed, parents being what they are sometimes. They really are the reason so many of us even have a place to stay. A lot of people that I know, like Chris Stegeman, he's grateful for his place to stay. He has a one-room shack that's it's about 4 of these, I suppose. Maybe about the size of 6 of these. I mean, it was looks like it was a one-car garage for an old car, like a Model T, something that's tiny. And it's been converted into like a, you can't even call it a guest house. It's just one room. But Chris admitted that he was far luckier in the position that he was in than I am. And he's also got incentive to stay where he's at. His dad ain't gonna live forever, and when he does, well, Chris has been here. He's been loyal to his dad. Hopefully his dad will leave him a few acres of property. Starmagia typed, I can't stand court and reports. I know you don't much of a choice, but I being you would have left those people behind. From what I've seen, the people around you don't want help or to give help. That's the thing, is that I did leave those people behind. When it got to the point where it was obvious that they didn't give a shit how much hell I went through, they were just going to keep on horse shitting me. I recorded the evidence that I needed and I posted it on YouTube. If they want to get pissed off about it, fine. You should have fucking stepped up in court. And a lot of the people around me do want help. That guy up north of town, he's had me help him literally every day for the last week in some capacity or another. People love my help because I'll show up. I'm alone and I'm lonely, and fixing things makes me feel better. Yeah, I'm gonna show up. I gotta deal with all of this other trauma in my life. It's nice to take a break, some sort of a break. I don't really play video games much. I love video games, but then, when I'm playing video games, the whole thing that's going through my head is, Lana Amanda treated me completely like shit and claimed that it was because I was playing video games and that's why I was up all night. But I didn't have any video games to play. And if you look at my YouTube videos and my posts from around that time, yeah, obviously I'm with Lana and Amanda. I'm not going to tell them a different reason for why I can't sleep than what I'm posting. I get it. You love your family and you're going to stick up for them. If somebody accuses your brother of fucking raping somebody, you love your brother. You're going to fucking stick up for him. I won't. I'll stick up for him only as far as he deserves an honest day in court. But he really doesn't. See, that's the thing about equality, is that if I'm not allowed the rights of the Constitution, you shouldn't be allowed them either. Neither should Michael. An assault against one of our rights is an assault against all of our rights. Every breach of the Constitution is an affront to every American. Storm Asia typed, "Are you ever going to be able to leave Nebraska?" I left Nebraska today for about 30 minutes. That's not a joke. I went all the way to Colorado to take a leak. It just so happens that the county that Candace lived in when Michael Beard pulled his bullshit and Shelly was pulling her bullshit, just so happens that's just south of the border. But no, I'm not going to be able to safely go anywhere. I won't be able to go anywhere safely for the rest of my life unless Alicia Bollinger has to face me in court. I only need to ask her one goddamn question. Alicia Bollinger, did I rape or molest you or your fucking sister? Elizabeth Salinas typed, "They labeled you mentally ill, so they bully you. The police bully you, the courts bully you, and that's exactly how it is." And the very first indicator for them, when your paperwork says homeless, Then they know they can run you through. And then they try to change it after they've written that down and already tainted the courts. They want to write down whatever your previous address was. Or in the case of Larimer County, they made up an address for me. People repeatedly made up addresses for me. The police wrote down one of my addresses as being in Broomfield. I have never lived in Broomfield. The cops didn't bother to investigate. Neither did the reporters. The reporters kept saying I was 42 years old. I'm not 42 years old. Hey, instead of fucking spreading bullshit and lies about me, why don't you ask me how old I am? I just turned 40 on the 18th of October. Just turned 40. I'm over the hill now. Cool. Akash B type, to be honest, when I first read about Natalie, the media really tried to blame you. And once you were proven innocent, no one batted an eye because the story wasn't according to their fantasies. And that's the point. That's the stuff that needed to be told in court. That's the thing that needed to be recorded on paper by somebody who they couldn't just throw it away and say he's mentally ill, or turn off their body cameras and say he's mentally ill. Meanwhile, they were using mentally ill as loosely as they could to try to insinuate that I was schizophrenic. And they tried to do these things at the hospitals too, to try to insinuate to these doctors and nurses that I'm schizophrenic. Don't believe anything he says and inject him with shit. That's a great way to fucking do it, assholes. I told everybody that I knew, hey, if you don't go in with me, this is what they're going to do. This is why I need you to go in with me instead of making excuses. And that's why people who don't want to keep their word, they're always fucking sick. They are always fucking sick. They got Facebook post after Facebook post after Facebook post, smiling, dancing, and carrying on and doing fun shit with their family. And then you call them up and you say, hey, man, you said you'd go in with me on Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Oh, man, I'm sick. My kids are sick. We're in the hospital. You got no idea how many hundreds of those I have. Did those people tell the truth? Because what the police wrote down about why people weren't helping me and weren't coming in with me is completely different than your excuses. I'm going to continue calling them excuses until you have the balls to say those things in court. Until you have the balls to write it down, document it, and speak the fuck up in court, I am going to assume that you fucking lied to me because you didn't keep your word. I mean, I don't know who to believe. I know not to believe the cops, but now I also know not to believe you. Not you guys, obviously. But yeah, I'm the most grounded in fucking reality out of all of us. Out of all of the people who were actually involved in this case, not people who heard about it from some fucking web group, but the people who were actually involved, the actual witnesses. Big difference. Let's see. Akash B typed, I really know how it feels being beaten up. I thought that's a normal thing that friends do, right? Starmagia type, we're mostly pretty short. There's some outliers, though. I don't know. I suppose there's people a different color in all sorts of shapes and sizes. I've seen fat people of every race, religion, and gender. I've seen skinny people of every race, religion, gender. I mean, it's different folks, you know. Some of us got different metabolisms. Some of us have different work ethics. Some of us have no access to fucking food. Elizabeth Salinas typed, I have Asperger's, but not diagnosed until I was an adult. But I was bullied all through school because of my mannerisms. Right? It's not like we can't point out somebody else who's autistic. Like, we know that we're going to get made fun of for those mannerisms. We're going to get made fun of more than anybody else. But also, like, as long as nobody knows that you're autistic, when you tell somebody that something's happening, they might listen to you. The moment they know that you're autistic, they automatically jump into that mode that white people jump into when they see a black person walking down the street in Chapel, Nebraska. You know, their reaction to it, since most of them, you know, they see black people on TV that are murdering people. They see movies like Boys in the Hood. And then they see a bunch of little white kids here who are spoiled as fuck trying to emulate Boys in the Hood. Yeah, they see a black person, they're fucking scared shitless. Why are they such assholes? Because they're fucking scared. They're not going to tell you to your face. They're going to talk shit behind your back to everybody in town. Here, there's a new N-word in town. He's probably breaking into your garage right now. They say the same shit about Mexicans. And it doesn't matter if you're Mexican or not. You could have been born in Arizona or fucking Seattle, Washington, or fucking New York. They don't fucking care. If you're brown, you're Mexican. If you're from Bangladesh, they say Mexican. If you're from Portugal, they say Mexican. If you're from Spain, you get what I'm saying. If you're a Native American or an Aborigine, if you're an Aborigine, you're black. They use the N-word. If you're Filipino, they will probably still call you a Mexican. If you're Chinese, they will probably call you Chinese. They don't seem to like Asians here either, although the Kaneshita family seems to have gotten along well here for a lot of years. So, I don't know. Starmasia typed, it hurts to see your videos. It reminds me of past hardships of mine and people around me. See, that's how it was with most of the people who offered to help me. They offered to help me, and then instead of listening to what I was saying so they could understand and better help me, most of them were busy dumping their traumas on me. And I'm going through more trauma than they are capable of realizing. They have family, and I'm the one that they're venting to. They're supposed to be helping me, and I'm doing the listening. These people are hurting too. See, that's the thing about folks saying, well, they're not real friends, they're not this, and they're not that, you know, they're just bad people. No, they're hurting too. These people offered to help because they saw somebody who might listen to them, and I did. I certainly did. When Brandon Ratner let me know that his brother Sean was missing, the first thing I did, it didn't take me 3 years. I didn't get writer's block. The first thing I did was tell the truth. Sean Ratner is missing. Go find him. Just like with Natalie. Natalie Bollinger is missing. Go find her. Just like with Alicia on my birthday last year. Alicia Bollinger is missing. Go find her. Akash B type, I still haven't told about the abuse during my childhood. It was a hard few years. Akash, I'm not trying to sound sexist here. Are you a boy? Are you a male? I got you, bud. Starmasia typed, I find it pathetic how mental illness has been made something desirable to have. I hear young people talking about how they have schizophrenia, depression, bipolar, etc. Some don't even have anything. Nothing except twisted fantasies and delusion. You're right. It's kind of like all these kids, these popular kids, talking about how nerdy they are. It became popular to be nerdy, and now the popular kids are nerdy. And the nerds are apparently not nerds anymore. What have I become? What am I if the popular kids are the nerds? Starmasia type, meanwhile, people who really do have problems are thrown to the curb. That's right. Victimized victimization that prevents us from getting out of the fucking gutter, and people pretend we're not trying. We have to try 10 times harder than anyone else. Without a cosigner, without a fucking vehicle, without any of that shit, it's not easy. Starmagia typed, people avoided me like hell because things would always seem to happen to me. No one wanted to stick up for me in school, but I could count on them to throw more wood onto the fire. That's right. They assume that you're in the wrong because you're the dork. You're the weirdo. You're the creepy. I do get that. And instead of doing something about it, they call you a narc, call you a tattletale. Yeah, a lot of us get that. Akash B typed, yup, yes, I am a male. I may cry out. I may cry out. Thank you, Sean. Hope your problems are solved too. Take care of yourself. You too, Akash. I gotta go. I Gentleman let me borrow his car. He can't speak out about Sandy Fromm. He doesn't feel comfortable doing it. He doesn't want to deal with the drama. But he'll let me borrow his car now. I did a lot for him though. But I gotta go return the car. And hey, thanks y'all for taking part in this today. There's most of my videos, if you go back and look through them, it's mostly hecklers, and a lot of those I eventually just deleted them from my channel. We don't need that kind of cruelty and fucking punishment. I'm trying to get help, and these people are bullies. You guys can look back through my videos. People don't like my videos much. Lots of people hit the dislike button. A lot of people are like, you know, Sean, you shouldn't care what other people think, or you know, Sean, you know, Sean, you know, Sean. And they try to push all this stuff on me that they're doing. Obviously, I'm not doing this for popularity. If I was doing this for popularity, I'd have given up a long time ago. I got more dislikes on my channel than likes by a lot. For the first year or so of my channel, the people who got on the most were my predators. While my friends couldn't be bothered to listen to what I was telling them, couldn't be bothered to look at the evidence, my predators hung on every word. They wanted to see if I told another one of their secrets, or maybe a secret of somebody that they know. I'm not going to keep your fucking secrets. If you tell me that you were fucking molested, I'm going to fucking say something. Those of you right now, if you're going to tell me, if you were to tell me, hey, I was raped by my dad, and I know your name and I know your location, I'm going to try. Well, obviously, I'm not going to try to go to the police about it now. I can't. The only thing that I can do is post about it on YouTube or Facebook. If you go missing the cops aren't going to fucking listen to me. I got to go to YouTube and Facebook and hope that decent people see it and actually give a shit. When Alicia disappeared on my birthday last year, despite all the shit that her and her fucking family have put me through, despite the fact that people were threatening to murder me because she was missing, you know what? I still did the same thing that I did with Natalie in that situation. Despite all the evil shit that I had to go through, when Natalie was missing, the first thing that went through my mind is, God, we got to get her home safe. See ya, Akash. Be safe.